There's a brand that's opened 400 stores, different city every time, different architect every time, different materials every time. Here's the part that doesn't make sense. No two stores look alike, not one, and yet you can walk into any of them on any continent and know exactly what brand you're standing in within 2 seconds. Nobody told you. There's no logo screaming at you from the wall. You just know. Maybe it's the sink. Every single one of these stores has this oversized, almost industrial sink sitting somewhere you didn't expect to find a sink. I'm not sure why it works. It just does. And we'll come back to that sink because it's not decoration, it's the whole business model, hiding in plain sight. Let me say that again because it's the whole video. 400 stores, 0 copies, instantly recognizable, every single one. That shouldn't be possible. Most businesses can't pull that off with 2 locations, let alone 400. So how'd they do it? Simple once you see it. They stopped trying to make things look the same and started making sure they never felt different. Here's who we're talking about in case the name's new to you. Aesop, skincare and grooming brand. Started in Australia in 1987. Sinks, soaps, hand cream, the stuff sitting in the bathroom of every hotel and restaurant that's trying to feel expensive, luxury. In 2023, L'Oreal paid $2.5 billion for it, the single biggest brand acquisition L'Oreal has ever made. One of the most valuable personal care brands on the planet. And here's the part that actually matters for you in your small business. They didn't build that value by copying the same store 400 times. They built it doing the opposite of what almost every retail chain on earth does. And that opposite is the entire lesson in this video. Here's where most small business owners land. There's only 2 options, and both of them are wrong. Option 1, everything looks identical. Same layout, same script taped to the counter, same everything. Fine, except it also feels like nobody's home. It's corporate. Forgettable the second the customer's out the door. And then there's option 2. Nothing matches. The van looks like one company, the invoice looks like another, the office looks like whatever was on sale that week. There's no us in there anywhere, just whatever happened to be around. And here's what nobody wants to admit. Neither one was a decision. The identical business didn't choose sameness, they just kept doing whatever they did the very first time. Because deciding on purpose takes effort. The messy business didn't choose chaos either, they just never got around to making things better. Neither one is a strategy, both of them are just what happens when nobody has decided. One of these feels corporate and disconnected. The other, let's be honest, there's no real business there at all. Just a bunch of jobs somebody's doing. This isn't a storefront problem, it can happen in any business. A clinic where the waiting room feels nothing like the treatment room. A plumbing company running a truck from 2024 and an invoice from 2004. A law office with a sharp meeting room and an intake form that's been photocopied so many times it's gray. Your customer feels that mismatch every time. They won't put it in a review. They can't even name it. It's just a flicker, something a little off, and they act on it before they ever stop to ask why. That's the part that should scare you. People buy the feeling first. The results just give them cover for a decision they already made. They decide and then they think. They find a reason after the fact, one that makes the decision look rational. So the mismatch isn't costing you an opinion, it's costing you the sale before your actual work ever gets a chance to speak. There's a difference between a signature and a uniform. A uniform is copy-paste, identical, no matter who's wearing it. Take it off one person, put it on another, changes nothing. That's what your business feels like if you picked option 1. A signature is different, never drawn the same way twice, not even by the same person, but you'd recognize it anywhere because the shape underneath never moves. That's Aesop, 400 times over. Materials shift, architects shift, cities shift, the signature underneath doesn't. Now run your business through that test. Client sees you Monday, different client saw you a month ago, different mood, different setup, maybe a different person on your team entirely. Do they walk away with the same gut feeling about who you are, or did they just deal with 2 different companies wearing the same name? Picture your van. One truck's spotless, clean logo, looks like it belongs to somebody who's proud of it. Another's got a magnet sign half peeling off the door. Same company, completely different signal, before anyone's even knocked. Now do the same test on your clinic. One day it's calm and considered. Another day it's a mess, magazines everywhere, a dying plant nobody remembers to water. Same clinic, same one location. Patients aren't comparing your medical skill in that moment. They're comparing whether you're the kind of business that pays attention and whether that changes depending on the day. Same test, professional services. An accountant's website looks sharp, the kind of site that says we know what we're doing. Then a client books a call with them and the actual call happens over a shaky connection, no agenda sent ahead of time, feels like a favor instead of a service. The website and the phone call clash. The client remembers the gap, not either version on its own. And here's what makes Aesop's version actually hard. Building the same store 400 times would have been cheaper. Ship the same shelf, ship the same layout to every city on earth. That's what almost every retail chain does. Aesop said no. They picked the harder version on purpose because a copy-pasted store in Tokyo and a copy-pasted store in Amsterdam both feel cheap. Both feel like nobody actually thought about where they were standing. Remember that sink from the start of this video? Here's the actual mechanism behind it, not just the philosophy. Every architect who designs an Aesop store gets a brief. They get two parts. One part, a short list of things that are never reinvented, no matter the city. The demonstration sink, that exact oversized one, is on that list. So is the ritual of testing a product under running water. So is the point of sale procedure at checkout. Identical in Tokyo, identical in Amsterdam, identical in a strip mall you didn't expect to find one in. It's the one thing standing still while everything else around it changes. Part 2, everything else. The architecture, the materials, the layout gets handed to a local architect to solve fresh. That's the whole system, not a feeling, not a vibe, a short list that never moves, and a long list that's allowed to. Your first objection might be, consistency sounds expensive. I don't have Aesop's budget. You don't need it. They're not spending the same amount in every city. They're not using the same materials twice. What repeats isn't the money. It's 3 or 4 details that never get skipped, no matter the format. That's it. That's the whole trick. In your small business, decide what never changes and let everything else flex. Your second objection might be, if everybody's allowed to flex, doesn't that just look sloppy? It's actually the opposite. Flexibility with no signature looks sloppy, but flexibility anchored to 3 or 4 details that never move looks intentional. Even when the budget's different, the city's different, the day is a complete mess behind the scenes. Before you pick your non-negotiables, walk through where a client actually meets your business, one touch point at a time. Ask yourself these this week. Your van or your workspace, the first thing they see. 3 seconds. Does it say careful or does it say improvising? Your paperwork, the last thing they read. Does the invoice look like it came from the same business as the person who showed up at the door? Your voicemail or your booking confirmation, the first thing they hear. Same tone every time, or does it depend entirely on who picked up? Your team's appearance, the thing they notice without trying. Doesn't need to be a matching uniform. Is there anything consistent at all? Wherever you winced, that's your answer. That's the store that doesn't look like the others yet. Here's the one thing, just one. Steal Aesop's actual 2-part system, not the aesthetic, the mechanism. Part 1, your shortlist. 3 to 5 non-negotiables that show up everywhere in your business, no matter the day or who's doing the work. Your version of the demonstration sink. Part 2, your long list. Everything else, the layout, the exact words, the little touches, the things you're allowed to flex on depending on the day, the job, the person doing it. Your version of handing the architecture to a local architect. That's it. That's the whole install. A short list that never moves and a long list that's allowed to. Now pick the on-ramp that's true for you right now for what goes on your short list. Option 1, your physical space, your office, your shop, your van, not a redesign. 2 or 3 details that show up the same way regardless of the budget that week. Option 2, your intake, the first 5 minutes a new client spends with you. Same every time, or does it depend on who answers the phone? Option 3, your paperwork, invoice, estimate, follow-up email. Cheapest fix on this list and the one everyone skips first because it feels unimportant. It isn't. It's usually the last thing a client touches before they decide whether to call you again. Option 4, how your team shows up. Not a uniform, one signature detail. Consistent no matter who's wearing it. Pick the one you'd be embarrassed to have a client see today. That's the one. Fix that one first. Not 5 things, not a full rebrand. One. Fix the one. Live with it for 30 days. Then come back for the next one. Businesses that try to fix all 4 at once usually fix none of them because it turns into this massive project instead of a decision. Then do this part because it's the part people skip. Write the signature down, 3 or 4 lines, specific enough that someone brand new on your team could read it and copy the feeling without you standing over their shoulder. If it only lives in your head, it's not a signature, it's just a habit you happen to have. Written down, it's something your business owns, not something that disappears the week you take off. Nobody's asking you to open 400 locations. Nobody's asking you to hire an architect for your work van, but the idea underneath travels to a business of any size. Here's why it compounds. First client who notices your signature won't say anything. 10th client might mention it in passing. By client 100, that one small detail they all noted without you pointing it out becomes the reason they describe you to someone else. That's not a marketing budget, that's just consistency held long enough to become recognizable. Remember the number from the start of this video? 400 stores, 0 copies. Instantly recognizable, every single one. Not a design trick, a short list that never moved, and a long list that was always allowed to. That's the entire brief, 400 times over. Decide what never changes. Let everything else flex. That's the whole signature.